Hey guys, I'm going to show you today how to upgrade the bearings inside your new Pixy Type R. Now first off, I'm going to show you what you're going to need to do this task. You need a small screwdriver, a penny or a coin, some electrical tape, your favorite bearing oil, and of course you need a spool bearing removal tool. This one is from Hedgehog Studio. You can get it from any Japanese tackle store online, or you can get it on eBay. Now the reason I use this over using the pliers is this would not damage your spool pin and you would not run the risk of scratching your spool. If you use the pliers and you scratch or bend the spool pin, you would put the spool out of balance, and that pretty much negates the purpose of upgrading the bearings. And of course, you're going to need your new bearings. This is the set for the Pixy Type R. This one is the Orange Seal Abec 7 bearings. The first thing we're going to do is to take the bearings out of the bag. Then we're going to remove the seals to lube the bearings. Now to remove the seal on these bearings, I use a fishing hook. What you do, you're going to put the hook inside the seal, and you just take it out, just like that. Now you are going to notice that I'm taking all the seals out. That's because I like to run my bearings without the seals. Now however, if you are running your bearings in salt water, or if you're using the reel in some places like rivers where there's a lot where you're going to dunk your reels in the water with a lot of sediment, you only have to take one side of the seals out on each bearing, just to put a drop of oil in it, and then you can put the seals back. Now you can see the bearings, they're out of their seals now. What you're going to do is you're going to take your favorite oil and you're just going to put a drop in each bearing. Don't put too much, otherwise it's going to affect the speed of your bearing. Now if you're going to install the seals back in, all you have to do is to put the seals back on and press it down. First thing we're going to do is to remove the side plate from the reel. You're going to see this big screw here. You take your penny and you put it in, and then you start unscrewing it. At some point it's going to be loose enough where you can just remove it with your fingers. You twist the side plate and you have the side plate out. You're going to put the body aside, take the spool out. The first bearing we're going to replace is a side plate bearing in here. You take your small screwdriver, and what you're going to do is that you see that there's a retainer in here. We're going to take the retainer out. Now be careful, the retainer is going to bounce out. What you want to do is to put your finger on there and then take the retainer out. That's the retainer, and then we're going to remove the bearing. You have your old bearing and you put the new one in. The smaller one is the side plate bearing, the bigger one is the spool bearing. After you put the bearing in, you install the retainer. Put one side in first. Press it down with your fingers. And push the other side in. There you have it. One down, one to go. The next step we're going to do, we're going to remove the bearing in the spool. You see that there's a spool pin holding the bearing in place so the bearing cannot come out. We're going to take a piece of electrical tape, tape it to the side of the spool. This is going to prevent the spool pin removal tool from scratching the spool lip. Now what we have here, you see this spool pin removal tool, there's two ends. There's a pointy end and there's a blunt end. The pointy end is for removal, the blunt end is for installation. So we're going to put the pointy end in, slide it on top, and twist. And then you can just take it out as soon as the pin pops out, and then you can remove the bearing. After you remove the bearing, you're going to notice there's a collar around the old bearing and there's a pin holding the bearing inside. The same thing we did with the side plate bearing, we're going to remove the retainer on there. Push the old bearing out. The next thing you're going to do is to take the bearing, put it back into the collar, and put the retainer back in. And then all you need to do is to put this back, take the spool pin and pop it back in. You line up the removal tool with the pin and then you just start twisting. And there you go. You just put the bearing back into the spool. The next step is just going to be putting back the spool inside the reel and to put the side plate back on. There are several benefits to do a bearing upgrade on your reels. Now, a better bearing is going to give you a smoother cast, which translates to a longer casting distance, easier startup so you can actually cast lighter lures better, and it gives you more consistent casting with less effort. Now, even on a nice reel like this Pixy Type R, it is still going to benefit with a new bearing upgrade. To order your bearings, you can go to bocabearings.com. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.